Hey everyone, we're here at the Mercedes-Benz Dream Cars Drive, and that one over there is the Mercedes-AMG GT C. That looks fantastic, doesn't it? So yeah, it's gonna be a good day. New day, new suit, so hopefully I look more like Sai today rather than Jolo as usual. But we've also got a brand new car, Mercedes-AMG GT C. So let's take it out for a drive and see what's it all about. And before we even start, there's already a problem. This gear selector here is placed way too far back. I know I've talked about this before, but this is still a problem and they still haven't fixed it yet. For this, I blame the Americans because they insist on having cup holders here when they might as well could have just moved the whole thing forward and have it more in, you know, a normal reach. As it is, you gotta do this. How dainty. Let's go. Now you must be wondering, what the hell is a GT C? Well, to explain it, I'm going to compare it against the most complicated car range in the whole world, the Porsche 911. So the AMG GT range is split into 4 models. That's the regular AMG GT without any extra badging at the back, and that is your regular Porsche 911. Moving up to the GTS, which was launched in Malaysia quite some time ago. That is the Porsche 911 S, the Carrera S version. Same car, slightly tuned up engine. And then at the top of the range, there's the AMG GT-R. That is your 911 GT3. And then in the middle of it all, there's this, the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT C. Now I know what you're thinking. When the GT C first came out, everybody thought C meant convertible. That would have made sense. And then they released the GT C Coupe, which we're driving right now. So it's all very confusing, and for the life of me I can't tell what C stands for. So C is the middle child of the AMG GT range. It sort of goes against the 911 GTS, I would say. So it sort of has the special bits from the R while having all the civility, all the accessibility of the standard GT and GTS. And having driven it, I think it's the best of the lot. As for pricing, the GTS, which is the cheapest one we have here, is priced at around 1.1 million ringgit. This GTC is around 1.46 million ringgit. The full-on GTR, that's over 1.5 million ringgit. But it does have the best bits from the GT3. For instance, it has a much wider rear track, which you can see on the outside very, very clearly, which gives it that really hardcore low stance wide look. It's over 50mm wider compared to the GTS. This is a similar move to what Porsche has done with most of its 911 range. The higher models get a wider track for a more purposeful, hunkered down look, and it works really well on the GT C. Beyond that, this car also has the rear wheel steering from the GT-R. This effectively makes the wheelbase shorter for low speeds while making it longer for high speeds. So what you get is improved agility at lower speed corners and improved stability on the highways. Well, I can't say outright that this is a lot better than the GTS, but having driven it around town and a bit on the highway, you do feel a little bit of an improvement, especially since this car's steering is just comically fast. It's just made for the racetrack. It feels a little bit out of place on a normal road. You really got to take care of your steering inputs because you feed in too much, the car just darts into a corner. It's a little bit alien if you ask me, jumping in from any other car, even other Mercedes-Benzes. But in terms of feel, this is still a better steering compared to a 911. Most of that is probably down to this being a hydraulic rack compared to EPS on the 911. Up front, the engine has been up-tuned for the GT C. It's again the same 4-litre V8 AMG that I've been talking about for this whole entire video, but over here it produces 554 horsepower. That's a big upgrade over the standard GTS 510, and it's just around 30 horsepower less than the GTR. In terms of performance, it really suffers from that middle child syndrome I've been talking about. 0 to 100, the GTS takes 3.8, the GTR takes 3.6. This one, right in the middle, 3.7. Top speed, if you're brave enough, 316 kilometers per hour. Yeah, my balls ain't that big. But the great thing is, you really don't have to go that fast to enjoy this car. I'm doing what? 50 kilometers per hour and one jab of the throttle, and you listen to that V8 and the exhausts. The sport exhaust here is just brutal. It's exactly what AMGs are known for, and this is probably the loudest it has ever been. Yes, you don't get the titanium exhaust like in the GTR, but in terms of sound quality, the oral quality, I think this is right up there with the very best. And what else is there to say about the GTC? This car's handling balance is fantastic. This is a purpose-built sports car chassis with the engine shoved right in front and the gearbox right at the back on the rear axle. This does not share the same chassis with any other mainstream Mercedes-Benz models. This was designed from the ground up, not by Mercedes, but by AMG. Aside from the overly sharp steering wheel, this car's handling balance is beautiful. I wouldn't say it's right up there with the 911 because, it's not. But to drive every day, this is a bigger occasion. You feel more of it. In the 911, it's sort of become a little bit mundane because they're trying to make an everyday car. Whereas this is just a toy, and I love it. I mean, you can drive this car every day if you want, but it's a bit of a pain. I mean, there are 3 suspension settings that you can choose from, but it ranks between being very, very stiff to even harder to insanely hard. So most of the time you're going to keep it to the comfort settings, which is already absolutely crazy stiff. As it is, you are jumping around through Malaysian typical roads. You are bracing yourself every time you see a hard bump, a pothole, avoid altogether. So yeah, you have to be completely alert when you're driving this car. And that's before you factor in the fact that this car's nose is about 1 kilometer away from where you sit. It's crazy the way you sit. You're sitting on the back of the rear axle and you are maneuvering the whole head in front of you. It's like being on the bus on the last row. So like I said, driving the GTC or any AMG GTs for that matter is an extreme experience. It's so uncompromising. There's no creature comforts whatsoever. I mean, you get aircon and yeah, that's about it. And the seats, well, you can adjust it about a million ways, but it's still gonna be a bit too tight, especially for a size, like me. And it's never going to feel extremely comfortable in here. The center console here is so wide that you don't really have much space around you. You're always feeling very cocooned, very closed in this car. But all that adds to the experience because this is a car that makes you part of the driving experience. So that's about it for the AMG GT C, and this is what I consider a very, very good morning. Next, we've got something even faster, the AMG E63S. If this thing's a beast, that one's an absolute monster.